So Wally the Wizard, Connie the Cleric, Rachel the Rogue, and Fred the Fighter were exploring through the Desserin Hills. It started to rain, so they were looking for a place to make a camp. And they saw the ruins of a manor house up on the hill. Thought maybe this would be a good place to go and camp. So they scurried through the gate and up the carriage drive, and the rain started to turn to hail just as they got to the ruins of the first floor. Now, Rachel the Rogue normally was very careful, but they were in a hurry to get out of the bad weather. So she pushed on ahead and didn't notice that there was a trap at the top of some steps. And when she stepped on it, she and her companions behind her fell some 40 feet into the undercroft below. It was a dirt floor, thankfully, but still, they were prone and hurt, and their pride was a bit damaged that seasoned adventurers had literally fallen for such a simple trap. They looked around and saw the ruins of a once great house, trestle tables, things, and this huge room. As they looked up, a vaulted ceiling. The room was at least 100 feet long and 50 or more feet wide. And then in the center of the room, the air shimmered, and a figure appeared. It was a dark elf woman. She smiled, and she said, "Ah, welcome to Rundreth Manor. Thanks for dropping in. This could be the way that your characters get introduced to Rundreth Manor, which is our adventure that we're going to detail in Lore Friday today. Rundreth Manor is from the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign, and it is a level 10 adventure. It's one of the side adventures. And it's a way that the characters can both get some additional information about the enemies they are up against, and also because of the fact they are sent on this mission by a faction, it's a way that they can maybe get some additional payment, maybe in the form of magic items or resources or things like that that they need. Because as they learn right up front, this can be a dangerous mission. Now, I gave you a introduction how the party might find it if they hadn't heard about Rundreth Manor, but we are going to see that the way it's written in the adventure, the party is supposed to know where they are going and what they are going to find when they get there. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, shall we? All right. Rundreth Manor is the haunt of one of the most powerful creatures in the Desserin Valley. This is a shadow dragon named Nervarim, and she dwells in caverns underneath Rundreth Manor. Now, she is not interested at all in being allied with the cults, or allied with anybody, quite frankly. However, the cults have made the mistake of getting on her nerves. So she might be willing, if people can give her useful information, she might be willing to trade information and encourage adventurers to go and do something about the um, about the cultists. But she herself has no interest in offering the characters any compensation. She just wants them to go deal with the adventurers and stay away from her. So, uh, one the reason that they are sent is because a spy for one of the factions had seen several weeks ago, or several 10 days ago, since it's the Forgotten Realms, had seen several cultists leaving Rundreth Manor alive. And as the factions say, nobody ever leaves Rundreth Manor alive. Therefore, their conclusion was that the cultists must have made some sort of deal. Now the party needs to go, find out what deal they made, and try to break that deal by having the factions offer something to the Shadow Dragon that um, maybe she wants. Because, yes, of course, the factions do know that Rundreth Manor is where a Shadow Dragon lives, and they are sending the party to go have negotiations with this evil creature. So there's Dark Lady is a nickname for Nervarium. Uh, Received a delegation of elemental cultists. They came seeking her aid. She wasn't interested, and she ate several of them, and she sent the rest of them away to tell their brothers in the elemental cults, look, you come again, I'm going to eat more of you. Stay away. Um, so the 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 spy from one of the factions saw them leave, jumped to the wrong conclusion, assumed the elemental cults were in league with the Dark Lady. Sidetrack is not a waste of time because they can gain a historical perspective on the elemental evil, and they can also earn a reward from the faction. Okay, that's important because your party members are not going to want to do this without some sort of reward. Most players are not interested in going somewhere in a campaign just for the sake of finding out more about the story. They want to know what's in it for them. So you have to think about maybe what your characters would need and have that be a reason that the faction would send them. So this is something to keep in mind if you want to pull this adventure out and put it into your own homebrew campaign. If you are going to put an NPC, whether you use a shadow dragon or whether you use some other kind of powerful creature, that is there simply to give the party information about something that they are going to do, then whoever sends the party needs to be the ones that are offering a reward for going. Um, Remember that D&D players and D&D characters are reward-based actors. So you point them at the shiny thing, or you tell them there's a shiny thing over there, they will go and they will try to deal with it. You tell them their story over there, they're like, yeah, okay, I want to go where the shiny thing is. So it's just I'll keep that in mind. So they get a sending telling them about this. Goes through the story about how cultists were seen leaving. We think they're in league. Um, and then they get sent to the manor once they supposedly agree. Okay, what's left of Rundreth Manor stands on a small, steep-sided wooded hill just east of the long road, with a carriage drive opening off the caravan road just south of the hill and climbing its southern side to curve around and approach the back of the manor house from the east. On the surface where the manor once stood are heaps of fallen stone blocks and a tumbled lines of walls which form a T-shaped outline with two rectangular wings thrusting north and south out of an enormous east-west rectangular room. Uh, Room has 3-floor high remnants of walls and two places clinging to soaring stone chimneys. Looks like it was once truly impressive hall. Um, and then there's bits of flagstone in the floor. Flagstones within 10 feet of the top of the stair are laid loosely atop flimsy boards concealed with dirt, and they collapse under 100 pounds or more of weight. Um, so, you can, uh, you find the feast hall, little exploring, you find a hole leads to the stairway. Stairway is trapped. All right. And the Undercroft is a chamber 70 feet wide, 100 feet long. Room is littered with the rotting remnants of long trestle tables, fitted with sinks and littered with rusted out metal platters. And then ceiling. It doesn't say how high the ceiling is, but think of the room 50 feet wide or 70 feet wide, 100 feet long, that a dragon could comfortably manifest in. So, make it probably 40, 50 feet. Uh, that would be. Oh, well, okay, here we go. Character falls 40 feet to the floor. So, yeah, probably 40 feet high is the height. And then the drow appears, and the drow is not really the dragon. The drow is like a major image spell, an illusory projection. And if the characters try to attack, of course, it's revealed that it's just an illusion, but it persists. And she won't immediately take vengeance on the party if they attack her image. Um, but that's probably not the best way to begin things. However, adventurers, drow! And they may just haul off an attack before they know what's going on. Now, if they know that they are there to meet someone called the Dark Lady, and that it is a powerful shadow dragon, they may presume that this dragon has polymorph capabilities, and they may think that this is her. Um, but of course, they would have no way of knowing without talking. And then there's a whole bunch of bullets about the um, bullets of information, and there's some suggestions on um, how you can have this play out. Um, so they suggest two ways, and you can probably think of some other ways. So the players enjoy verbal repartee with an evil shadow dragon, roleplay the conversations that it naturally develops. And the Dark Lady will subtly pump the characters for information about what they have already done in the campaign. So it's good to have this a little bit later in the campaign so that your characters can have some stories about things that they've already done that they can tell. And then every time they tell her something, she will reveal a little bit more. And you, as a DM, obviously know things they haven't seen yet. So there's a few details that she probably has that they don't know, and she can reveal those to the party. Uh, and if the party actually doesn't like that and just wants a straightforward negotiation, then she's willing to say, okay, um, you tell me something you know, I will tell you something I know. And it becomes a transactional interaction at that point. Um, all right, so the Shadow Dragon is curious about the prophets that are leading these cults. So any information that they have on these prophets would be interesting to her. She wants to know about signs of division or rivalry among the cults. Um, and she's also curious how the cults are spreading their influence across the valley. So any of that information is really, really um, interesting to her. And the her ulterior motive is she realizes that these cults have the townspeople spooked in the towns in this area, and she kind of wants to know the techniques that they're using to sow fear and exert control. Oh, why would an evil shadow dragon want to know how to exert fear and exert control? Hmm. Let me think about that. And then if the characters know anything about devastation orbs, ooh, magical toys. She's very, she's very interested in those. Uh, and other than giving her the information they know, she just wants the characters to deal with the cult and then leave her alone. Um, she will try very much to manipulate the characters into attacking the cults. She won't lie out of malice, but she is trying to motivate the event. So she will freely make up things that may not be true about, oh, I heard that there's a big pile of treasure in such and such a place. You should go attack that. You would love that treasure hoard, wouldn't you? Now, of course, they're hearing this from an evil dragon, so they may be wondering, oh, so we go and we attack, and then what? At the end of the fight, the dragon comes and attacks us. I mean, some players will think that way, and if they want to, all the better. Just let them do it. Just let them do it, and feed into that if you wish. Um, as long as they give her useful information, she's fine. But as soon as they run out of things to say, boop, the illusion of the drow disappears, and then a deeper but similar voice reverberates through the chamber, ordering them to leave, uh, and not to return, and tells them they are no longer useful to her, at least not useful alive. Implied threat there. So, um, and she doesn't respond to any further entreaties. She will uh, ignore characters who stay in the Undercroft. However, if they start trying to provoke her, she will eventually respond. She will come out of the shadows in her draconic form and attack, and she attacks to kill at that point. Um, and her stat block is the same as an adult black dragon. Uh, and surprise, surprise, the dragon's horde is beyond the character's reach. Oh, yes, they did that. They said, here's a dragon. You're not supposed to fight it. Well, if you really, really, really insist on going and fighting it, and you survive, oh, congratulations, you just killed a dragon. But there's no treasure. Sorry. Yeah, kind of a feels like kind of a dinkus move there, but at the same time, characters are warned you're not supposed to attack the dragon. You're supposed to negotiate. You're supposed to keep the dragon from siding with the cultists. Um, the factions would be really happy if all the characters learned they uh, is that the dragon um, ate several of the delegation from the elemental cultists and sent them back saying, "Hey, don't come and bother me again. And you adventurers, go ahead and scram. You don't come back and bother me either." The um, factions would be thrilled with that, and they would give the promised reward to the players, to the PCs for that. They are not going to expect the PCs to try to take on this dragon. And if the players ask you, you should make that very clear that as far as the factions go, they don't want the PCs to fight the dragon. They just want to make sure that the dragon is not going to be helping the elemental cultists. And once they figure that out, that's good. That qualifies the PCs for their full reward that was negotiated. Uh, so do that so that you don't feel that your players don't feel like you sent them off and then they have to confront the dragon and end the dragon as a potential ally for the cultists for them to get anything out of it. Um, that's a um, that's a thing that you want to do because sometimes you'll have players that'll be like, well, the only way to make sure she's not going to um, join with the cultists is to get rid of her, and then okay, that turns into a big huge fight, and maybe the characters survive. Maybe one or two of the PCs actually dies, and then they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, as long as we killed her, now we go try to dig up everything and find the dragon's hoard." Okay, well, you do that, you're going to turn your campaign into the Curse of Oak Island because, uh, they'll just keep digging and digging, digging and digging, digging, and they won't find shit. Uh, so that's the conclusion there. Now, let's talk about taking this adventure out of the Princess of the Apocalypse and using it in your own campaign. We've already talked about that a little bit. So, what are the elements that you have there? You have a powerful NPC who is a potential ally to some antagonist that um, your PCs are having to deal with. Uh, However, it turns out that um, the ally is, or this NPC is not an ally of the party, but they are not allied with the party's enemies. Um, they would be happy to be an enemy of the party if the party decides to act like an ass, a bunch of asses. But at the moment, they are kind of antagonistic towards the same enemy that the PCs are fighting. But the reason for going is that they have important information. You need a motivation other than getting information um, for them to go see them. So somebody would want to sponsor the characters going there and promise the characters a reward and make sure that the characters understand they do not have to try to take out this powerful NPC in order to get the reward. All the sponsor wants is understanding that this NPC is not going to be allied with the party's enemies. If the party can bring back that information, that qualifies them for the reward. Um, so that's that. If you wanted to make it a parallel thing, you would set it up that way. Now, obviously, you could take this idea that there's just this dragon out there living in this thing that happens to know some information. But the party may decide, wow, evil shadow dragon, we really ought to deal with that. Now, if you're putting it in your own campaign, then obviously you can do whatever you want about the treasure. Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting thing to put a powerful monster like a dragon in a campaign that the characters have to talk to, and then not put any treasure in its lair. Um, just kind of to teach the characters a lesson. If they decide to go ahead and fight the dragon anyway, oh, well, you're really not going to get anything. Yeah, congratulations, you got some experience fighting a dragon, but that's about it. Um, you went through all that trouble really needlessly. Um, Now, you'll have players that will be guaranteed that um, this is going to be turn out to be a major villain later on in the campaign. So if we have the chance, we ought to just deal with it now. No, no, no. She doesn't. Your campaign might uh, might turn this into a different antagonist at some point down the line. Certainly, there are threads there that you can pull on and take it in different directions. Uh, and the other thing that this particular adventure lacks is a map. We get a description of the um, ruins, and a description of the Undercroft where the interaction with the Dark Lady takes place. But, you know, there's no map of it. So you could either create a map for it, or you could put this as part of another map. Um, you might take this particular encounter and set it in a large section of a dungeon or some ruins in your campaign world that are already mapped out but don't have anything to go there yet. Um, and then just figure out how you would use it. And maybe in your campaign, it's not information the powerful NPC is after. Maybe there's a particular item. Maybe there's an item that doesn't mean anything to the plot of the campaign, but the NPC is willing to tell the PCs a bunch of information about it if they will go and retrieve this item. Um, and that item may be something that would allow the NPC to then either create or exchange something that would be valuable to them and helpful to them in order to get this item that they really have wanted, um, but they don't have it. They haven't had a chance to get on their own. So that's a thing. And then you could also just play on the worst fears of your players. Um, you could basically have the uh, powerful evil NPC want to take over. So when the party goes and deals with the cult or whatever the antagonist is, the Shadow Dragon, if you choose to go with that, uh, might be literally lurking in the shadows watching the battle. And if the PCs prevail and are weakened, the Shadow Dragon may decide to jump them while they're trying to recover from the battle, and then take over where the cultists had been. So, all of those are fair game and good possibilities if you want to take this and put it into your own campaign. All right, well, that's going to do it for Rundreth Manor. I have been DM Gallipan. This has been Lore Friday. Thank you guys for stopping by and checking this out. If you like what we're doing here on this channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you too can be notified every time new content drops. And with that, I would like to bid you all good night.